were only commenting the two or three same things. That
Yeah.
that's the stereotype that the movie Slumdog Millionaire created, and that movie came out in 2008,
I
and I
actually just
guess
watched that movie
they
for the
were
first time.
they were stuck in 2008. It's
Hmm.
the same stereotype. So yeah, I would start with asking like, how did you get? What's your connect with India, and how did you know about India?
First, I apologize for the trains. I live right next to a train track, so I'm sorry
That's
if you
fine.
can hear that. Um, yeah, so I went to India in November just in time for Diwali, and actually had two weddings. Some friends of ours were having their weddings and they invited us. So my boyfriend is actually Indian. He is
Okay, nice.
from, yeah, he's from Gurgaon. Um, he was born in Lucknow, lived in Gurgaon. His parents are there still. And he came to the US in 2021 um, to study data science. And now he's working. But we started dating at the end of 2022. Um, and I really wanted to go to India, and it was important to me to go. It was actually my first time leaving the US ever. Um, and I was like a little nervous about it at first, just because being on the plane for that long and also just experiencing such a different place and different culture than the US has. Um, obviously, I was nervous because my Hindi isn't very good. I've been
Mhm.
taking a lot of lessons with this guy, Mukesh from Jaipur. Uh, and so, it's a little rusty, but um, yeah, I've been working on learning that, which did help some, especially because my boyfriend's mom doesn't speak English, so we have a lot of like language barriers. But
Yeah, that would be there.
yeah,
So,
I wanted to visit.
so were you scared because it was a completely different experience that you never did before, or you had some, uh, what should I say? You know, you heard something in the past for India, like this country is like that, because of were you scared because of that?
Um, so growing up, I obviously have lived in the South my whole life. I think the only time I've ever learned about India was when I was in seventh grade. I had a like world history class, and the only thing I
Yeah.
remember is they showed us some videos of like the Ganges and how gross it is, and then we talked about like Gandhi. Um, but like overall, I think a lot of people have this preconceived notion that everywhere in India is just super gross. Everyone's super unhygienic. Like there's trash everywhere and it smells terrible. Which in my experience, yes, there were some areas that had some trash, and it did like the smell is different, but I wouldn't say it was bad. It's mostly just like there's a lot of the seasoning spices you can smell
Hmm.
as you walk past like
Yeah.
restaurants. But overall, it wasn't that bad of a smell or that bad of litter trash everywhere.
But one of the comments were like about the body art. Did you experience that?
In my experience with like at least with my Indian friends, with my boyfriend, um, and even like people there, they're very hygienic, which I don't really understand a lot of the misconceptions and comments or
Mhm.
people are like, oh, they don't use deodorant and they smell bad and all that. They're not hygienic. I'm like, he washes his hands more than I do. Like everyone's super hygienic. They wash
Oh,
their hands before they eat. Like bathe very regularly. Um, the way that they like it's Asian culture. Take your shoes off when you come in the house. Stuff like that. It's not something that even white people do. So I'm not sure where that stereotype came from.
the media and the movies have never shown that side of India. That's why,
Mm-hmm.
even the youngest generation in North America, the whole of North America, think it like we have like thieves and we are dirty and there's a lot of slums. Yes, there are, but you have never shown the real side of India. The people were saying me, okay, you were too close to the screen. I could smell you through the screen. I'm like, bro, you got a condition. This is too much. This is too much generalizing. And the amount of hate that social media carries, not just for Indians or immigrants in general, the amount of hate people spew on each other. It's nobody talks about it. It's just generalized. What would you say about it?
Yeah, so I've noticed a lot of like toxicity, sort of backwards mindsets on social media. A lot of people can just say whatever they want. There's a lot of trolls and bots and everything who are just like spewing hate comments, racist comments.
Did you experience any harassment of any kind or misbehavior while you were in India?
So I actually have a story. It's not like harassment. I would call it kind of the opposite. So I know a lot of people who are white and have visited India. There's this like experience that we all have where what I've noticed is a lot of Indians really love it when white people experience their culture, are saying things in Hindi or other Indian languages
We
like
love it.
Punjabi,
We love it. I will tell
Gujarati,
you.
yeah, and eat Indian food or you know watch Bollywood movies, sing songs, and what I noticed is sort of the opposite of that. So I went to the World Cup final, RIP,
Oh,
in
don't
Ahmedabad. I know,
remember
I
it.
know, I know. It was
Heartbreak.
so painful. But while we were there, we were trying to find our gate before the game started. And we're walking through this, giant group of people. There's a bunch of little independent, like videographers, people doing interviews with a bunch of people. And as I was walking, I'm wearing, the blue jersey. My boyfriend's wearing the blue jersey. We've got like the flag, face paint, everything.
Yeah.
And as we're walking, a couple of the video people, interviewers, like notice us. And this lady comes running at me. She's like, "Oh my gosh, a white girl. We need to video you. Where are you from? Where are you from?" And I was like, "From the US." And this happened twice. So two people came up to me, and as this lady was asking me questions like where I'm from, I was trying to answer in like Hindi, English,
Nice.
as best as I could. USA,
Wow.
and and I was like, didn't know what she was asking completely. So I look at my boyfriend, and be like, translate, please. And it was just so hilarious how like excited they were to see me there at this game wearing the like India jersey, and they're like, "Why are
Believe
you
me, we,
here?
we
Where are
get
you from?"
excited. There's so many, foreign YouTubers in India right now. And
Oh
I
yeah.
was actually watching some video. I think it's Chris Rocks or there's one more. Sorry, Carl Rock. So he's
Mm-hmm.
a YouTuber from New Zealand who actually is an Indian citizen now. He has married an Indian girl, and he speaks very fluent Hindi. And I was watching one of his video. He goes to a shopkeeper and he asks him in Hindi, "Hey, give me this, or give me milk." And he was asking them in the local language, "Are you from Haryana?" And the smile on those people's faces, and I could see through the screen, and I was smiling too. So we become happy when a foreigner, a known Hindi speaker, tries to
Mm-hmm.
speak our language instead of whatever it is, they are struggling with it or it's wrong, whatnot. We you know celebrate it. We get happy.
Yeah.
On the other hand, English is taught to Indians in school. It's our second language.
Mm-hmm.
For most, it's first language in South India. But when we try to speak, there's always this person who will comment, accent. I don't understand this. Even I'm sure right now you are understanding each and every word that I'm saying. And I
Yeah.
still have a strong Indian accent right now. But little influence of the North American accent because it's been 2.5 years. But I
Right.
don't understand what role accent plays. So did you come across any situation where it was hard to understand Indians speaking English?
Um, Not speaking English, I have a harder time understanding like the Hindi. More so, I would say, like when I'm watching movies, I
Hmm.
probably get about 30, 40, up to 50% now of the Hindi.
That's
But when
effective.
people are speaking it like in front of me, and I'm never like only getting certain words here and there. The accent, comes out even stronger with the Hindi. And of course, different people from different places have different ways of pronouncing different words. So
Yeah.
that adds to the levels of not being able to understand. But from my experience and from what I've heard from other people, a lot of people think that the Indian accent with English is actually one of the more understandable accents,
Oh.
more so than even some European, a lot of other like North Asian um, accents too. So like
And these
I don't
friends
think Indian
were like
accents
from
are
the
bad.
US? Those,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, okay, people from US think we are understandable. That's a
Hmm.
new for me.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they would prefer like British, but I mean, you guys were colonized long enough. You can say
Yeah,
it's.
because because of our Hindi, we are able
Hmm.
to we are taught to speak full words without cutting them out. So I would say,
Hmm.
hey, what are you doing? And in an accent,
What are
you
you
say,
doing?
what are you doing? So the natives would eat up the alphabets in between, and we
Hmm.
are trained to speak the full words. So there were a few comments by US people that there smell in their big cities as well. Baltimore, somebody said Detroit, and San Francisco, obviously, and then New York. Somebody mentioned like there's subways and
Oh
back
yeah, been
alley
there.
smells. So is it like that?
Yeah, so I live in Atlanta. I live in Midtown, but I went to GSU, Georgia State University, which is like downtown, right next to the Capitol building. And there's a
Oh,
lot of like homeless population that live there. I interacted with them a lot. Sometimes I would give them food and stuff if I had extra.
mhm.
Um, but when you're walking downtown, there is a very prominent vomit, pee, and weed smell all mixed together. It's very strong, but I guess you have to get used to it. But like it's so gross a lot of the time. Just like I remember one day I parked in the parking deck to walk to the lab for my class, and as I'm going down the stairwell, someone just like took a massive poop right in the stairwell, and I was like,
Oh,
it was there for weeks
hold on
before
a
it got
sec.
cleaned up.
Mr. Nick, can you hear that? Pay attention.
Literal feces just in the stairwell, and this is in the U.S. So like I
Hmm.
never once saw human feces anywhere in India.
As Indians, we will never generalize US as homeless or drug addicts. The first
Hmm.
thing that comes to our mind is the maybe the Golden Gate Bridge, the Statue of Liberty, the city that aliens attacked first, New York.
Right?
So it's like that. But when he said the entire country smells, I completely lost it. I'm like, this guy
Yeah.
has to listen from me. And even the comments keep going on. There's so much hate, and I'm like, okay, I need to talk to people to put out real perspective, what's going on, and what's only a social media agenda for some people. So
But
were there a lot of
yeah.
people?
Um,
But I'm
you
asking,
mean
there
like
are a
at the
lot of people.
weddings or just a lot of people? You mean 1.5 billion?
Yeah.
I mean, so like I understand why there's a lot of trash. Like we drove past where there's like what's it called? Like a garbage landfill. That's the word.
It's
So
at the
we yeah,
Delhi
we drove
border. Yeah,
past
there's
like
a
a
huge
landfill.
mountain. Yeah.
And there'll be like sections or areas on the street where you can see people like sort of collecting and leaving trash in specific areas, I assume, to be collected. So like you'll see trash and stuff, but you also have to think there are so many people and there's only so many people picking up trash at certain times, right? So
It's
it
hard to
makes sense
manage
why
in
there's
that
garbage everywhere.
population.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but what I noticed is they're doing like at least the places I went in India are doing a lot better in terms of environmentally friendly than what we have here in the US. So
So, what would be your conclusion since you have seen both cultures and you have been to big cities and you have met Indian people, you have been among the US population, what would be your verdict on all of this? About the hate that's going on?
so let me say, how do I say this? So I would say the US isn't perfect. India isn't perfect.
Yeah.
There's a lot of problems with both countries. There's a lot of problems in every country.
Every
I
country.
don't
Yeah.
think there's any country that's perfect. Obviously, the country that comes to mind that could probably be the closest is like the Scandinavian countries,
Yeah. Apart
just
from
because
that,
they're like, I think Iceland is up there too
yeah.
in terms of like, freedom, happiness
Yeah,
index, all
they're
these
on
kind of
top of
things.
every ratings. Yeah.
And so, when you're comparing countries, it's kind of hard because each country has their own type of people. They're each has a different type of population, history. Um, and so it's hard to like directly compare countries like that. All you should say is, this is my country. This is how it currently is. This is what I want it to look like in the future. And
Yeah.
look more towards the future mindset of, these are the issues that I have, and this is how I would like to see it be better in the future. This is how other countries are. We should celebrate their wins. It's okay to criticize, but be helpful about it. Don't just be like, oh, it stinks. Be like, where did this come from? This mindset that I have. Is it actually this way? Should I look it up myself? Should I go visit and find out for myself? Just to not have like preconceived notions about any one country. Because obviously, not everything you read on the internet is true, and not every experience you have is going to be for an entire country itself. I think overall, people just need to be kinder to each other, especially on the internet, and especially
Exactly.
when people don't know what they're talking about. It's okay to not know things, and it's okay to not comment on someone's post if you have nothing to add other than hate.
Yeah. Don't dwell on the Slumdog Millionaire movie, please.
Good movie, not a good like representation of India.